الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أما بعد. Inshallah, today we will talk about باب ما يختلف به عدد الطلاق وغيره. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: باب ما يختلف به عدد الطلاق وغيره. المرأة إذا لم يدخل بها تبينها الطلقة وتحرمها الثلاث من الحر والاثنتان من العبد إذا وقعت مجموعة، كقوله أنت طالق ثلاثا أو أنت طالق وطالق وطالق، وإن أوقعه مرتبا كقوله أنت طالق فطالق أو ثم طالق أو طالق بل طالق أو أنت طالق أنت طالق، أو إن طلقتك فأنت طالق ثم طلقها، أو كلما طلقتك فأنت طالق، أو كلما لم أطلقك فأنت طالق، وأشباه ذلك وأشباه هذا لم يقع بها واحدة، وإن كانت مدخولا بها وقع بها جميع ما أوقعها. ومن شك في الطلاق أو عدده أو الرضاع أو عدده بنى على اليقين. وإن قال لنسائه إحداكن طالق ولم ينوي واحدة بعينها أخرجت بالقرعة. وإن طلق جزءا من امرأته مشاعا أو معينا كإصبعها أو يدها طلقت كلها إلا السن والظفر والشعر والريق والدمع ونحو، لا تطلق به. وإن قال أنت طالق نصف تطليقة أو أقل من هذا طلقت واحدة. This section or this sub-chapter talks about divorcing if there is confusion about the number of divorce. But last time we spoke about, or so far when we talked about divorce, we talked about divorcing a woman that the marriage has been consummated. Okay, the marriage has taken place and the contract, then it's been consummated, there has been intercourse between the spouses. Now, in the beginning of this, we will talk about if there is a contract, the marriage contract takes place, but it's not yet to be consummated. The marriage did not take place yet. And we talked about different rulings with this. We talked about al-mahr, and it's different if the marriage is consummated or not. We talked about the iddah for a woman who had a contract but yet to be consummated if her husband dies. We talked about different things. So there's a difference between a woman who had a marriage contract but yet for the marriage to be consummated. And when we say consummation of the marriage, we mean, or we refer to al-jima'. We refer to having intercourse with the spouse. And we talked about also al-khulwa. We also talked about, some of the ulama said, if the person has enough time, if the man has enough time with the woman alone, after the contract alone, where there is enough time to have jima' or intercourse, then that will be considered consummation of the marriage. And we talked about different opinions regarding that. So here when we talk about consummation of the marriage, we refer to that. So a woman who has her marriage consummated, if she gets divorced, it's different scenarios than the woman who just have a contract without the consummation of the marriage. And that's the first part he will talk about. قال المرأة إذا لم يدخل بها تبينها الطلقة. The woman, when we say تبين, just to refer, بانت بينونة صغرى أو كبرى, the husband cannot, بينونة صغرى, the husband cannot marry her unless there's a new contract, a new approval, a new mahr. بينونة كبرى, he cannot marry her period unless she get married. Remember when he divorces her 3 times? Okay. So if someone divorces his wife once and let the iddah passes, that is بانت منه بينونة صغرى. صغرى small بينونة, referring to that if he can marry her again, but it has to be with a new contract. When we say big بينونة, if he divorces her 3 times and then he cannot marry her unless she marries another man. and then she gets divorced. That's بينونة كبرى. So here he said المرأة إذا لم يدخل بها تبينها الطلق. If a man marries a woman, if they do a marriage contract, they're married, but there is no consummation of marriage yet, okay? And then he divorces her once. If he divorces her one time, بانت منه, right away, there is no عدة, okay? Right away she becomes, they're divorced, the contract is null, okay? The contract breaks right away, okay? Just to make the scenario clear. So I go propose to a girl, her wali approves all that, we do the marriage, we come to the masjid, we do marriage contract, and now marriage wise we are married, but yet I still did not have khalwa with her, I still did not consummate the marriage with her, and then I say, you know what, it's not working out, I divorce. You're divorced. Once I say you're divorced, that's it. Right away she can go and marry someone else. There is no iddah for her because I did not consummate, we did not consummate the marriage, okay? So one talqa, if I divorce her once, that's it. Now if you consummated the marriage, you divorce her once, but you have to wait for her iddah to go before she can marry someone else, right? Okay, so, or you divorce her 3 times and yet she still needs to wait for iddah if you have consummated the marriage. Here there is no consummation of the marriage, there is no intercourse yet, only a contract. So if I tell her you're divorced, she's divorced, she can go tomorrow or after 2 hours and marry someone else. There is no iddah for her. That's قوله المرأة إذا لم يدخل. As long as there is no consummation, one divorce will make it necessary if they want to get back together for a new contract, a new approval of her. قل الله سبحانه وتعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نكحتم المؤمنات ثم طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدون. If you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the believers, if you divorce women after you marry them, before you touch them, before you consummate the marriage, before you had intercourse or the khalwa according to some of the ulama, then they have no iddah, okay? And you don't require them to have iddah. Alright? So the ayah is straightforward. قال تبينها الطلقة وتحرمها الثلاث. If the one divorce will make her, that's it, she's not your wife anymore. But if you have consummated the marriage and you divorce her once or twice, she still lives with you and she's still technically your wife and you can and continue with your life. But since there is no consummation of the marriage, once you say you're divorced, she's done with you. You cannot touch her, you cannot approach her. The only way you can get back is you do a new contract. So what is the point of وَتُحَرِّمُهَا الثَّلَاث? And here he's saying تَبِينُهَا الطَّلْقَةِ. One divorce will get her out of the contract and you cannot marry her unless there's any. And وَتُحَرِّمُهَا الثَّلَاث. And if you divorce her 3 times, then you cannot marry her, period. Why is he referring to that? If once I divorce her the first time, she's not my wife, I can't divorce her twice, 2 more times, you understand? So once I say you're divorced, she's not my wife. So why are you going to divorce a woman again and again if she's not my wife? So what is the point of saying وَتُحَرِّمُهَا الثَّلَاث? So you're saying that if this is a woman before consummating the marriage, okay, and then that's it, she's divorced. Then he apologizes this, they do a contract again, and then he divorces her again. So you're saying that these things count. Each time he divorces her, and then he does, or he establishes a new contract with them, which he can, okay, that means we will have retro effect of the previous divorces. Indeed, that's the case. Okay, so the fact that there is a new contract, that does not omit or delete the divorces before. Okay, unless it's 3 times, then she gets married to another man, and then she gets divorced, and he marries her again. Then we have a fresh new count. But if I divorce a woman once, and then I go again and divorce her again after her iddah passes. I marry her again and then I divorce her. Of course, the first time, okay, the first time will count. If that wasn't the case, then everyone who divorces his wife will let the iddah go through, and then he will start a new contract all over again with a fresh count. No, that is one thing. So if a man divorces his wife once, if a man divorces his wife once, and the iddah, or if they did not consummate the marriage, she's not his wife. If he goes to establish the contract again, and they agree, the woman and her wali, and he marries her again, how many more divorces they got? 2 left. Okay? 2, because this is the second time he marries her. He only divorced her once before. So if he divorces her again, and then they decide to get married again, then he only have 1 shot. If he divorces her a 3rd time, that's it. بانت بأنه حرمت عليه. Now she becomes haram for him to marry unless she marries someone else. Alright, clear the point? So that is what's the point here. The other issue about your divorce, we'll talk about that. قال وتحرم 3 من الحر والاثنتان من العبد. That is the other point you mentioned, and that is, we said if there is a free man, then it's 3 times he got, and if it's a slave man, he got twice 2 divorces, as we said. فعليهن نصف ما على المحصنات. طيب. قال إذا وقعت مجموعة كقوله, يعني to the end of his book where he said كقوله أنت طالق 3 وأنت طالق وطالق وطالق, and all this. Here تحرمها 3. The other option besides counting, that we're going to count the previous divorces. The other thing, if he comes to his wife and he said, you are divorced 3 times. You're divorced, يعني طالق بالثلاث. And we said الحنابلة, the madhab الحنبلي, that if someone tells his wife, you're divorced 3 times, just like that, you're divorced 3 times, طالق بالثلاث, for الحنابلة it counts. But we said there is no such thing in Arabic. Say, you're divorced 3 times and that will count as 3, or you say 1,000,000 times, that will count as 1,000,000 times. Okay? He said there is no such thing in Arabic. If you want to Subhanallah 1,000,000 times, you say Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah 1,000,000 times. But you say Subhanallah 1,000,000 times. It does not. There is no such thing. My opinion when it comes to someone who tells his wife, أنت طالق بالثلاث, or you're divorced 3 times, that will not count as 1. So if we take this out, then we have the other scenarios that we said at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they used to count them as 3, and the time of Abu Bakr 3, and the time of some of the time of Umar 3, and then he wanted to teach the people lesson and all that. But the point is, if he tells his wife, you are divorced and divorced and divorced, or you're divorced, then divorced, then divorced, okay? All scenarios, if the husband is one, that is before the marriage, there is an order, divorced and divorced and divorced, all these will count as 3. So he becomes haram for him, even for a new contract. Alright? Clear? For the siyar, or the format that we mentioned before, that will count 3. 1 shot. If someone tells his wife, 1 shot, you're divorced 3 times, and it's acceptable, as we said, according to the ulama, then even if they did not have the contract yet, if it refers to an order, then it will be 3. And she becomes haram for him to marry that. So that is what he's referring to, وَتُحَرِّمُهَا الثَّلَاثِ إِذَا وَقَعَتْ مَجْمُوعًا, and all that what we said. So قال وإن أوقعه مرتبا فإنه لا يقع إلا واحد. So if he tells his wife, you're divorced and divorced and divorced, that means you're divorced 3 times, as which I was said. So because we have a difference here. So if he tells his wife, you're divorced and divorced and divorced, this waw al-atuf refers to that I divorce you 3 times. Okay? So we said with a woman, or if he says anti taliq, 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 you're divorced, 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 what do we do in this case? We ask him for the intention. Is he intending to divorce her 3 times, or he's intending to make sure that she heard the first time? If he's just saying divorce, divorce, just a matter of emphasizing that he divorced her, then that's 1. If he says no, I divorced her 3 times, then that's 3 times. Okay? When we go in tartib, or we go and we use you're divorced, then divorced, then divorced. Okay? Now here, the second divorce, okay, is based on the first divorce taking place. But when we say you're divorced and divorced and divorced, each one has nothing to do with the other. For example, you say, يعني, tonight we have a lecture, Ahmed and Muhammad and Ali, welcome. Ali and Muhammad can come and Ahmed doesn't show up. Ali and Ahmed would show up and Muhammad doesn't show up. Muhammad and Ali won't show up and Ahmed shows up. So they're not depending on each other to come. That's why they say, when someone tells his wife, you're divorced and divorced and divorced, that means each divorce is independent of the other. That's what they refer to, يعني الترتيب or غير الترتيب. So if that is the case, then even if they did not consummate the marriage, they will count as 3. But if there is an order, like you're divorced, then divorced, then divorced, that means for the second divorce to take place, the first divorce has to take place. يعني I tell you, come to the masjid, then pray, then sit. You cannot come to the masjid, sit, okay? You cannot sit and pray before you come to the masjid. You have to come to the masjid to be able to pray, and to be able to sit, you have to pray. And to be able to pray, you have to come to the masjid. So when we use then and then, that means each, whatever is after then, depends on the then before, on what's before it. So when someone tells his wife, you're divorced, then divorced, then divorced, that means once you're divorced the first time, then you're divorced the second time, then you're divorced the third time. Now if this is the case with a woman, as we said before, مدخول بها, a woman that you have consummated the marriage with, then it will count as 3. 3. A woman that you already consummated the marriage, because you can divorce her 3 times. You can divorce her first time, second time, and still take her back, and then divorce her the 3rd time. But with a woman that you did not consummate the marriage yet, if you divorce her once, that's it. She's not your wife anymore. She's not in idda anymore. There is no such thing as idda for this woman. So once you say the second divorce, depending on the first divorce taking place, once you tell her you're divorced, then divorced, once she's divorced the first time that you did not consummate the marriage with, she's not your wife anymore. And she's not in her idda, because there is no idda for her. So for the husband to come and say, then divorced, doesn't make any difference. You cannot divorce her twice in this fashion. But if you tell her you're divorced and divorced and divorced, it's different. And it will count as 3. But if you divorce her, say you're divorced, then divorced, that doesn't work. If you tell her you're divorced, then you walk out the house, and then before you get in your car, you come back and say you're divorced, doesn't count. Okay? Why? Because once you divorce her the first time, you're done with her. Okay? You're done with her. And that is the tartib. إن وقعه مرتبا فإنه لا يقع إلا واحدا, and that is what it means. He said, give examples. You are divorced, then divorced. طالق فطالق, أو ثم طالق, أو طالق بل طالق, أو أنت طالق أنت طالق, أو وإن طلقتك فأنت طالق ثم طلقها. All these يعني format that نحو ذلك من الأساليب. والصيغة في الترتيب فإن أتى بصيغة في الترتيب فلا تقع إلا واحدة. Okay? If there's an order, then, and each one depends on the one previously, then it will only count as one. That is with the woman, he did not consummate the marriage. But with the consummated marriage, they're all going to count. Okay. قال وإن كان مدخولا بها وقع بها جميع ما أوقعه. That's what we just said. Then he mentioned a very important rule and very important fundamental, and that is ومن شك في الطلاق وعدده أو الرضاع أو عدده بنى على اليقين. This is قاعدة فقهية يعني مشهورة and رحمة من رب, and it's mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is يعني the meaning of this statement he made is القاعدة الفقهية اليقين لا يزول بالشك. اليقين لا يزول بالشك. Okay, this is very important rule and it's very important fundamental and أصل. Okay, اليقين لا يزول بالشك. يعني certainty cannot be invalidated by doubt. What that means, يعني if I'm between two scenarios, and one I'm sure of and one I have doubt about, then I cannot leave what I'm sure of for the doubtful one. For example, that applies in the salah. For example, you're praying dhuhr and now you don't know, is this the fourth rak'ah or the third? Okay, is it the third or the fourth? You are certain that you prayed the third. You got to the third. Okay, you're certain that you already finished the second and you already started the third. But you're not sure if you moved to the fourth already. So you're certain of the third, you're not certain of the fourth. So you cannot say, okay, then I guess it's the fourth. You cannot leave what you're certain of without fourth. Clearly? If you come to pray Asr and you don't know if you broke your wudu or not, the wudu that you made for dhuhr. This happens for a lot of us. You come and you stand, Allahu Akbar, and then you start thinking, do I have wudu? So you're not sure that you broke your wudu, that the one you had for dhuhr. Of course, when you prayed dhuhr, you made wudu and you remember that. I made it at home or wherever at work. But I'm not sure since that moment, since I prayed dhuhr, I'm not sure if I broke my wudu. So here you're certain that you had wudu. You're doubtful that you broke your wudu. So I cannot say, let me make wudu in case. That is not the Sharia. That can take you to a level of whispering and waswas. That is not the Sharia. The Sharia is, you cannot leave what you're certain of for something you're doubtful of. So if you're sure you had wudu for dhuhr and now it's time for Asr and you're not sure if you broke your wudu, so now is it, am I sure or I'm not sure? I'm sure about having wudu for dhuhr, I'm not sure breaking that specific wudu. So then you go with what you're certain of, and that is your wudu, and you proceed to pray the Qur'an. That is the sunnah, and that is how it is. And that will make your life easy. And this rule, you can take it and apply it to divorces. Okay? Someone is not certain, did I divorce her once or twice? He knows he divorced her, but he's not sure, once or twice. And what is certain? One. He's not certain twice. So how many times he divorced her? He's going to go with once. Alright? That is what this point is saying. ومن شك في الطلاق وعدده والرضاع أو عدده بنى على اليقين. So who is doubtful? I skipped يعني when I said he's doubtful if he divorced her once or twice. If he's doubtful, did I divorce her or I didn't? He's doubtful. He doesn't have to be present when he divorces his wife. Someone got into a fight with his wife and left the house. And he's driving around and he said, I'm sick and tired of this marriage. You know, I can't see this woman again. He's sick. He's driving. He has to look at the traffic. He has to see the light to make sure no cars driving behind. To look at his cell phone, no, all that. And then 2 hours later he calms down. He said, did I divorce her? He was talking about divorcing her. So now, because too many things were taking place at the same time, he's not sure. Did I divorce her or I didn't? I know I was talking about divorce, but did I say she's divorced? That's it? He's certain that he was married to her, but now he's not certain he divorced her. We say all this doubt is out of the window. Alright? Again, if he divorced her, did I divorce her once or twice? I know I divorced her, but once or twice? Then we go with once. Alright? That is what certainty and doubt.
How about suppose somebody was praying, right? You got to wudu. Or in the middle of the prayer, oh man, I broke it.
Okay.
But you just more certain that you broke it like maybe 10 minutes ago.
That's it. You leave your salah, sure. Now we can pray without wudu. Okay? Now you're certain. Okay? So the point is, now here he also mentioned the issue of al-radah, breastfeeding. That is something we have talked about briefly. بنى على اليقين. The bottom line is يعني اليقين لا يزول بالشك. If I have to make a choice between two things, يعني in the same scenario, and I'm doubtful of one and certain of one, then I stick to what I'm certain of. Okay. That's one. He said, وإن قال لنسائه إذا كنا طالق ولم ينوي واحدة بعينها بالقرعة. Someone is married to 3 or 2, and he said, one of you is divorced. Okay? They both got him angry, whatever the sin is, so he wants to punish, but he cannot stay without a wife. He said, one of you is divorced. And he did not specify which one. Then أخرجت بالقرعة. Then there is a draw. Huh? You go with a draw, and whoever is picked is the one gets divorced. Okay? Prophet ﷺ used to do that with his wives whenever he's traveling. Okay? And whoever is draw or turn, whoever is picked, that is her turn, and that is the way. قال وإن طلق جزءا من امرأته مشاعنا معينا أو معينا كأصبعها أو يدها طلقت كلها. طلقت كلها. كله. طيب, if he divorces his wife, if he divorces صح. If he divorces his wife, يعني someone comes and he said he's walking with his wife on the street, whatever, and she يعني makes a move that her arm shows up. Okay, all her arm shows up. Her abaya or her sleeve comes down. He gets so upset. He said, "Wallahi, this arm divorced." And he's upset that she's always showing, like her arm is always showing, and he keeps telling her, and she doesn't listen. So he said, I divorced this arm. He's so angry with the arm. Huh? If he divorces something that is connected to her, cannot be separated, then she will be divorced. Okay? She will be divorced. Okay? So if he tells her, الراس اللي عليك طارق. Yeah, this head you got, so hard. I want to divorce this head. This head is divorced. She's divorced. Alright? Something that cannot be separated from her. If he says divorce, that specific part, then the whole thing will be divorced. He said يدها وإصبعها, her finger, her hand, طلقت كلها. However, he said إلا السن والظفر والشعر والريق والدمع ونحوه لا تطلق به. But if he tells يعني your tears, she always crying, your tears are divorced. She sweats a lot, your sweat is divorced, your hair is divorced, your nails are divorced. Whatever, يعني she grows, her nails look like claws and always scratching him, attacking him every time. So he tells her these nails are divorced. Anything that is separable or separable, then can be separated from her, then the divorce will not take place.
And the nails be
separated from her hands?
Sure, they clipped. All right? And they change. Nails grow. All right? So if you put a mark on your nail and you leave it, it's going to grow out somehow.
What about the hair?
The hair?
The hair grows still.
Sure.
Isn't it part of her?
It's part of her, but it can be removed, and she will not be harmed. All right? Can grow again. All right. That is يعني الفطرة سنن الفطرة. Okay. All right. وإن قال أنت طالق نصف تطليقة وأقل من هذا طلقت واحد. He tells her يعني you're upsetting me, but not much to divorce you, so I divorce you half divorce. He's joking. Counts as a divorce. Will count as one. But no one will tell his wife you're divorced halfway unless he's joking. So why we count it then if he's just joking?
Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said 3 things, there's no joking.
Because there is no joke with divorce. If you're serious or you're joking, will be counted. Will be counted. Alright? If you're serious or joking, it will count. So even if you tell you, there's no such thing as half divorce. Okay? So we're gonna round it, okay, to the nearest number, complete number, whatever we used to call it, to go 1, alright? Real number, right? To the nearest real number. So it's 1. Okay?
Then why
Up. We'll round it up. So if someone tells his wife you're divorced quarter, that goes up 1.
Suppose
Him before him.
Then why do they count? Then why do we ask for their intention when they say divorce, and why do we ask their intention if there's no joke when it's divorce?
Because it counts as divorce, but now we're concerned about the number. So we asked, when you said divorce, are you meaning divorced and divorced and divorced, or divorced? You want to make sure she hears it, but you mean once. We're not telling them, okay, we're seeing, did you mean divorce or not? No. Did you mean once or 3 times? Okay? That's why we ask.
Suppose like the men got bad attitude. The female doesn't like her no more, but he doesn't want to break the contract.
Yeah.
And the daughter loves so much. Can she go to her father and tell her father that I don't want that marriage contract to be over? The father just take her words and just divorce the whole thing? Because you have to follow your parents' advice too.
No, that is not the father's right. But there are other solutions and alternatives for these situations. And I assume we talked about some of them, like al-fasakh and al-khulu' and these other alternatives. But when a woman is oppressed, or she is abused, or she can't live with the man, she's afraid that she cannot fulfill his needs, whether he's bad or he's good, but she cannot live with him, she doesn't love him, all that, then she has alternative ways to get out, but that not to be considered divorced, unless the man, out of his generosity, divorces her when she requests. Her wife is going to I divorce my daughter from you. We would have been in a lot of trouble, all right? And most probably no one will be married now, all right? Because any father, when his daughter goes to him and crying, so that is absolutely the man's right. The one whom Allah gave him the upper hand and the qawama he's the one who has the right to divorce. And if he refuses and he's at fault, he has different options. So inshallah we'll stop here, and we have a couple of things to mention after salah, and then we break inshallah. جزاكم الله خير. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Inshallah we continue. باب الرجعة. قال المصنف رحمه الله: باب الرجعة: وإذا طلق الرجل امرأته بعد الدخول بغير عوض أقل من 3 أو العبد أقل من 2 فله رجعتها ما دامت في العدة، لقول الله سبحانه: وبعولتهن أحق بردهن في ذلك إن أرادوا إصلاحا والرجعة أن يقول لرجلين من المسلمين اشهدا علي أني قد راجعت زوجتي أو رددتها أو أمسكتها من غير ولي ولا صداق يزيده ولا رضاها، وإن وطئها كانت رجعة. والرجعية زوجة يلحقها الطلاق والظهار ولها التزين لزوجها والتشرف له وله وطئها والخلوة بها والسفر بها، وإذا ارتجعها عادت على ما بقي من طلاقها، ولو تركها حتى بانت ثم نكحت غيره ثم بانت منه تزوجها الأول رجعت إليه على ما بقي من طلاقها. وإذا اختلفا في الانقضاء عدتها فالقول قولها مع يمينها إذا ادعت من ذلك ممكنا. وإن ادعى الزوج بعد انقضاء عدتها أنه كان قد راجعها في عدتها فأنكرت فالقول قولها، وإن كانت له بينة حكم له بها، فإن كانت قد تزوجت ردت إليه سواء دخل بها الثاني أو لم يدخل. الرجعة, here we talk about divorce. Now we are talking about taking the wife back. Okay, taking the wife back. This process of taking your wife back after you divorced her is called raj'ah. But the raj'ah has to have conditions. For something, for a husband taking back his wife, and for a husband to, when he takes his wife back, to be called raj'ah, it has to have conditions, because there is difference between raj'ah and remarry. Okay, someone divorces his wife and her iddah passes, or someone divorces his wife before consummation of the marriage, then for him to get back with her, he has to remarry her. Okay, raj'ah is something different. Raj'ah is when you divorce her, you can take her back during her iddah. Okay, so obviously the first condition, as you see, is al-iddah. She has to be in her iddah. So is there a raj'ah for a woman who got divorced before the marriage is consummated?
No.
There is no such thing. Because once she is divorced, if they haven't consummated the marriage, then there is no raj'ah, because he has to remarry her. They have to have a new contract, a new mahr, new approval. Okay, so that is what we refer to when we say الرجعة. قال المؤلف إذا طلق امرأته بعد الدخول بغير عوض أقل من 3. الرجعة to take effect, or to be able to have raj'ah, you have to have divorced your wife less than 3. Okay, less than 3. And if it's a slave, only once. Less than 2, that is once. But the slave issue is not something we should be concerned about now. So if someone divorces his wife twice or once, then he has the right for raj'ah. He has the right to take her back if the other conditions are applicable. بغير عوض. Also, the divorce that took place got to be بغير عوض. يعني it wasn't khulu'. بغير عوض يعني there was no compensation for the husband when he divorced her. What does that mean? يعني a woman who is hating her husband, so she tells him, listen, you divorce me, I give you back everything you gave me. And that is permissible. That is sort of khulu' if it goes to the khulu', if the expression of khulu' was used, and it can be divorced if the expression of divorce was used. But the idea is if there was compensation to the husband to divorce his wife, then he cannot take her back. That's very important. If there was khulu' and he got compensated and he said, okay, you're divorced, he cannot just go 2 days later and take her back and now he wants new compensation. Once there was a compensation for the separation, then he cannot have raj'ah. He loses his right. If there was khulu', if there was fasakh, okay, and we have talked about these issues. So that is the second condition. It has to be less than 3 times. That means he divorced her once or twice. She has to be during her iddah. And the third, the divorce or the separation should have not been compensation, did not involve compensation. That's what he said, بغير عوض أقل من 3. So the condition is very quick. And the very first condition I mentioned, the marriage has to be لا, consummated. Okay, without consummation there is no iddah, there is no raja. So first they should have consummated the marriage. Second, it should be a first or second divorce, not third. He divorced his wife for the third time, he cannot take her back unless she marries someone, and that will be remarried. It's not raja. Third, بغير عوض. Okay, يعني there was no compensation involved. And fourth, as we said, تكون في العدة ما دامت في العدة كما قال. فله رجعتها ما دامت في العدة لقول الله سبحانه وبعولتهن حق بردهن في ذلك إن أراد إصلاحا. So the ayah is clear in Surah Al-Baqarah. When divorce takes place, their husbands have the right to take them back if they want to correct things. قال أن يقول لرجلين من المسلمين اشهد أني قد راجعت زوجتي أو رددتها وامسكته. طيب, how this رجعة takes place? يعني to take your wife back. If you let's give a scenario. Ahmed is married to Zainab, and they got into a fight or whatever. He tells her, you're divorced. We said from before she must stay in his house, and she's still technically his wife. He can do whatever with her as a husband does with his wife, and with compensate with the consequence, as we will see in a little bit. But the point is, she still can be alone with him. He can be alone with her. She still doesn't have to cover in front of him, even though she's divorced. But as long as she's in her iddah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear. Once you divorce them, you're not allowed to let them out of their homes. Yani to let them go to your parents' house or move out. That's it, we're divorced during their iddah. Or for them to leave. Okay? So the point is, first time or second time, she's still technically your wife. Okay? You do with her whatever a husband does with his wife. Be alone, for her to not cover in front of you, whatever the situation. That is the way. Hopefully things can come back. وَتَعُودُ الْمِيَاهِ إِلَى مَجَارِيهَا. طيب? That is the point. So if this takes place, he's saying, if you want to take your wife back for Al-Hanabila, that you should have two witnesses. You should have two witnesses. That is for Al-Hanabila. Al-Jumhur say it's recommended to have two witnesses. Now it's obligatory to have two witnesses when you get married. But when you take your wife, you obligated to have two witnesses when you divorce your wife? Yeah. To take her back after you divorce her, to have raja, again with the four conditions: consummations, during her iddah, less than 3 divorces, and no compensation involved. To take her back, to have raj'ah, according to Hanabila, it's mandatory to have 2 witnesses. According to Al-Jumhur, it's not. It's recommended, mustahab. And both parties, their dalil is the same ayah, but it's the way they understood. قال الله تعالى فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوى عدل منكم. Okay, so they said here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those who said it's recommended, they said فإذا بلغن أجلهن, يعني when once you divorce them, okay, you got the choice: either you keep them as wives or spouse, or you let them go. Okay? وَأَشْهِدُوا ذَوَى عَدْلٍ مِّنْكُمْ, and make 2 people trustworthy testify. So those who said you should have, it's a wajib, they said here, Allah says, use 2 people trustworthy to testify. Those who said it's recommended only, the majority, the Jumhur, they said no. If that is the case, then when you look at the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَمْسِكُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ فَارِقُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. You hold them in kindness, or you let them go in kindness. وَأَشْهِدُوا ذَوَى, and use 2 witnesses to testify. They said use 2 witnesses to testify is closer in the sentence to divorcing them. أَوْ فَارِقُوهُنَّ بِمَعْرُوفٍ. Because first you either keep them, you divorce them, and testify two people. Use two people to testify. They said the construction of the sentence, use two witnesses, is so comes after let them go. Either you keep them or you let them go. After you let them go, the witnesses come. They said if we're gonna say that two witnesses are obligatory to go to the beginning of the sentence to take the woman back, then we're gonna say it's mandatory to go to the nearest in the sentence, and that is to let them go, to divorce them, to let them go. And we all agree, and all the ulama agree, that divorcing a woman does not require witnesses. Clear? So in other words, it's recommended, and that is the right opinion. The right opinion, if someone divorces his wife and he decides to take her back, it's recommended, يعني مستحب, to tell two people to testify, listen, I'm taking her back, especially those who knew. But he doesn't have to, okay? He doesn't have to. Like some people sitting here and texting me, mashallah. Alhamdulillah, they had them already? Yeah? Kareem and his wife just had the babies today. MashaAllah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make them righteous. And what did he name them? Not yet? And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huh? Yeah? Wallahi, what's wrong with him? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they're healthy and their mother.
They wanted to name the third party, like they face some opposition.
It's too much. It becomes a problem when you call one, if you name them both Fadi and Fadi. I had patients, and the guy had 3 kids, and he called all of them the same name, his own name. Yeah, he called his 3 kids his name after him. You love yourself so much. All right. I think his name is James, and the 3 of them, James. لهذا قال المؤلف أن يقول لرجلين من المسلمين على سبيل الاستحباب. So الشهادة, to use 2 witnesses, that will be just recommended. All right. قال المؤلف من غير ولي ولا صداق يزيدها ولا رضاها. To take her back, الرجعة, with the 4 conditions we mentioned, you don't have to have her wali approval. You don't have to have her approval. Said she's still your wife. Okay, I divorce you. I want to continue with this. Allah allows me to continue. That's it. Okay. And third, you don't have to give her mahar or anything. A woman will say, he divorced her first time. You know what? You want to get back with me? You give me a diamond. Yeah. She doesn't have to have anything. You don't have to give her anything. Because as you said, technically, after first and second divorce, the woman's still wife. The wife's still the wife. Once the third divorce takes place, that's different. So once the iddah passes without taking her back, without raj'ah, that is different story. Alright? Okay. طيب. If someone, the all conditions, you, God forbid, someone divorces his wife and he leaves the house. He's so angry, you're divorced. We said she needs to stay, she must stay in her house, in his house. They must stay together in the same house. He leaves the house, he's angry, he's driving, he go get some ice cream, he cools down, and then he said, you know what, I made a mistake. I take her back. In his car, he's by himself. She will be back. Alright? She's back. That's it. That's how easy it is. But remember, you only got 2 shots. The third, you're out. Third strike, you're out. Now you're out if you want her back. Okay? She'll get better than you. How you know? But if you really still want her, remember, because you're the one who has that right, You are the one who can use this right to divorce, not her. So if you divorce her first time and then you regret, then divorce second time you regret, third time you're done, you're out. She's out. Okay? She's out, he's out, whatever the situation, it's over. Okay? So very important to be wise and stay away from this word if you want to continue with your marriage. He mentioned another issue that the ulama have different opinion about, and that is وَإِنْ وَطَأَهَا or وَطِئَهَا كَانَتْ رَجَعَةً. And if he sleeps with her, that will be considered raja. Okay? يعني someone divorced his wife and he comes home and يعني they're still sleeping in the same bed. They get it on and they sleep together. But his intention was not to take her back. He sleeps with her during her iddah. After he divorced her, his intention was not to take her back. Some of the ulama said that sleeping with the wife automatically takes her back. That's automatic indication that you're taking her back. Why would you be sleeping with her? Okay? That's one opinion. The other opinion said, no, does not take her back unless his intention is to take her back. And you, of course, everything else can apply to the same opinion. If someone looks at his wife and smiles, if his intention to take her back, she's back. If his intention, make me dinner, that's a different opinion. You understand? If someone kisses his wife, did he intend to take her back or just kissed her? So that is where the ulama have different opinions. So that's why you find some ulama say anything that indicates taking back will be considered taking back. Raja. Some of the other opinion said no, not necessarily, unless the intention, and some go in more details. And we'll talk about that in more details, but very much that is what he covered. But obviously, sleeping with a wife after she's divorced, that is strong indication. Okay, strong indication. So it's a strong opinion. وَالرَّجْعِيَّةُ زَوْجَةٌ يَلْحَقُهَا الطَّلَاقُ وَالظِّهَارُ. The woman, Raj'iyya is the woman that you can take back. That means with the 4 conditions. That means you divorced her without compensations after consummation, first or second time. What is her? What is she? Is she a wife? Is she half-wife? Is she a sister? Muslim sister? Is she what? Okay? So very important to know, for this woman to know her position. Because if she's not a wife, then she doesn't have to do what she's supposed to do as a wife. Because if she's not a wife, all the obligations a wife has toward her husband, she doesn't have to do any of that. And she doesn't. If she's not a wife, his obligation, the husband toward his wife, are not applicable anymore. So we need to understand the hukum of this woman that can be taken back. So someone who divorces his wife the first or second time after consummation without compensation, what is her hukum? Her hukum is zawjah. She's a wife, just like a wife. There's no difference. She's still your wife. She still lives with you. She's still called your wife. You still have the obligations toward her to take care of her and fulfill her needs and her rights, and she still have obligation to fulfill yours. يَلْحَقُهَا الطَّلَاقُ وَالظِّهَارُ. You can divorce her. If you divorce her once or twice, during her iddah, she's called raj'iyya, you can divorce her too. You can al-dhihar. And we will talk about al-dhihar when someone tells his wife, you're to me like my mother and all that. We'll talk about that. وَلَهَا التَّزَيُّن لِزَوْجِهَا. يعني I won't touch. وَلَهَا التَّزَيُّن لِزَوْجِهَا. And she can beautify herself for her husband. وَالتَّشَرُّفْ لَهُ. And look good for him. وَلَهُ وَطْءُهَا. And he can sleep with her. وَالْخَلْوَةُ بِهَا. Be alone with her. وَالسَّفَرُ بِهَا. And to take her for traveling. وَإِذَا ارْتَجَعَهَا عَادَتْ عَلَى مَا بَقِيَ مِنْ طَلَاقٍ. If he takes her back, then She is his wife just the way she was after divorce and the way she was before divorce, if it's first or second. And the divorce counts. That's one or twice. Okay, don't say, oh, I took her back. لا, if you divorce her, that will count. ولو تركها حتى بانت ونكحت غيره كانت منه زوجته رجع إليه على ما بقي من طلاق. If someone divorces his wife once and her idda goes, so it's over. Can he have raj'ah? Can he take her back? No, he has to remarry her. But he doesn't. She get married to someone else. Then that someone else doesn't work out, he divorces her. So then they reconcile, and subhanallah, how a lot of couples, they divorce and they separate, and then they somehow they realize that she's the best thing or he's the best thing after she goes try someone else. Okay? You know, he got some problems, but he was a good man compared to others. That is something you pay attention to, you know. Don't think like a lot, unfortunately, and very sad, where you find a lot of husbands, and you sit with them and they have problems with their wives, they think their wife is the devil, you know. The way they think of her, and vice versa. And they think every other husband is great. It's only, they're stuck with the only man that is bad in the surface of earth. Every other husband is an angel. So they want divorce, they get divorced, they marry someone else, then they said, you know, his hell and not your heaven. Yeah, like they say. I would rather live with that guy than living with you. When they realize that there is no comparison. Yeah, I had problem with the previous husband, but they were nonsense. Overcome, we can overcome. And then they get married someone else, then they realize the real problems. So very important to understand this fact. So here, she divorced, idda passes, he cannot take her back, she marries someone else, doesn't work out, they get divorced, then they decide to reconcile with her ex-husband, the very first one, so they marry again. That does not start a new count. If he divorced her from before once or twice, then we're going to build on. Now you only got twice or three or once. Alright? So what happened before she got married second time with a second man will count. So for her, unlimited. Because every husband she marries, she gets 3. Okay? But the husband got only 3 with the same woman. Clear? وإذا اختلفا في انقضاء عدتها فالقول قولها مع يمينها إذا ادعت من ذلك ممكنا. If they disagree about العدة, he said, no, you did not, العدة did not, 3 iddas did not go through, I take you back. She said, no, it's over. Okay? My idda is over. If they have an argument, she knows her idda better than him. So her word will go over his, will precede his. وإذا ادعى الزوج بعد انقضاء عدتها أنه كان قد راجعها في عدتها فأنكرت فالقول قولها وإن كانت له بينة حكم له بها فإن كانت قد تزوجت ردت إليه سواء دخل بها الثانية أو لم يدخل. If her idda is up, then the husband said, she started packing and she's ready to leave. The husband says, where are you going? That's it, I'm done. You're not my husband, I can't stay with you in the same. He said, no, I took you back before your idda was over. She said, no, I'm not coming back. I don't know you took me back. You didn't tell me that. So they go to a judge. Okay? The judge will rule for her, in her favor, unless the man shows a proof. What kind of a proof? He said, Wallahi, and I took her back and I put 2 witnesses. Come. And he calls 2 people. He did not tell her. They didn't get the opportunity to tell her. If he has a proof, that's it. Okay? So if he has proof, then his word will go. If the court takes 2 weeks after the iddah, so she said, she go and get married after a week. She marries, she said, he doesn't have a proof. So then he takes her to court, to the judge. and he proves that he took her back before her iddah was up, what happens now to the new marriage? The new marriage is invalid. She goes back with her first husband. Whether this new husband consummated the marriage or didn't. Alright? Correct. So this is what I want to talk about tonight. We continue next time. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect all of us from divorce, and because it's a misery. يعني come across a lot of couples who you find them for months fighting for divorce. They want to get divorced. And it becomes serious. Whoever always wanted divorce start crying. Oh, he's going to divorce me. Please find a solution. Please, please, please. And you start again. You've been asking him for divorce for the last months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And now when he wants to give it to you, now you realize how bad it is. So it's we ask Allah the protection and rush decisions. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله عليه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.